Hello YouTube, Nathan Dewey here doing an update on my growing Schrade USA collection. For those who have seen my previous videos, you will get the sense that I have an affinity to the more traditional designs for purposes of practical everyday carry. I started this collection in, I want to say, February of this year, and I have a fairly good start so far. I have a total of 9 Schrade USA knives, all of which were made in USA in the New York plant between the years of 1904 and 2004. First one I use every day. This is a old-timer 1080T. I really like the snap on this one. Good walk and talk. The back springs are very flush. The blades I use on this most often are the clip and the sheath foot blade. The pen I kind of use as a somewhat backup for finer cutting tasks. Now I actually have 2 more of these. These are what I would consider backups. This one definitely in rougher shape. It does have some pitting on the blade. The main blade is a little gritty. The blades aren't quite as full, but it still has, fairly good snap to them. I wouldn't hesitate to use this. The Delrin's kind of faded, so I want to guess it's definitely one of my older ones. This one's also a 1080T, but this one is in the best shape in that it has the less amount of oxidation and the blades are the fullest. Few spots here and there. I do keep these oiled. Now with the peanuts. This one is a 120T. One of the more rougher shapes. I don't know what the previous owner did to this. It looks like they tried to clean the blade with a high grit sandpaper, which is something I wouldn't recommend. Also, the tang has a little bit of a burr in the fold, so the snap is kind of muted. If you'll notice that the back spring is kind of pushed to the side, that's because of the burr. The snap could be better, but all in all, still has a lot of good user potential. Here's another pal, but this one is like new in box. Note the hard snap. Full blade. By the way, I really don't know the years in which these were made. Good centering on this one. All I can really tell from the markings is that the old timers, actually 8 out of 9 of these were made between the 1970s up to 2004. So that's basically all I can really, that's the only way I can really date them. Now the jackknives. This is a 2-bladed peanut. I use this quite a bit. Less of a full blade, but still has a good snap to it. I really enjoy this for food prep. For the tip is very finely ground. It's almost needle sharp. So I guess you could say it's more delicate. But I've, how I've used it. There's a bug buzzing by my head. Sorry. Yeah, again, I wouldn't hesitate to use this. The snaps are a little light, but still good, still solid. Flush back springs. The dowel run on this is also kind of faded. This is more of a reddish coloring. Alright, a little bit bigger. This is a 33 OT middleman jack. This is the first knife I started up for this collection. Also, this is the first, or was the first, pocket knife I had ever owned. I bought this mostly for nostalgic reasons, because this was the first pocket knife I ever owned, the exact same model. Some light scratching on the blade. Blade is pretty full. Hard snaps. That recessed pen blade. It's also a good feature. Something worth noticing is that on some of these, the back springs will be a little bit proud. Same so with this model. Doesn't really affect anything. It's just one of those things to where you can tell that these weren't exactly meant to be the highest end. From what I understand, Schrade USA was considered a work knife, which they are. But for what they go now, considering how many they were made and the overall construction, for the same money, I would prefer these older Schrades over most newer case knives. Just something to throw out there. This big guy right here is an Uncle Henry. This is in their Schrade Plus Steel. Blades are a little bit scratched up, but still in good shape. The clip and sheep's foot blade have a medium pull. The spade blade has the strongest pull. Note that the back springs on these two blades are a little shy. This is what you would call a shy spring, and this would have what you would consider a proud spring. This is in their fake stag. It's actually Delrin. It's got a good feel to it. It's kind of slick. It's kind of almost rubbery texture, but it's still nice. Schrade New York USA 885UH. Now this one I think is a little bit more special. This is a 34 OT, and what makes this so special is that this is a brand new 100th anniversary. This was to mark their anniversary, which would also soonly mark Schrade's end. You know, in 2005 they sold over to Taylor Brands, and they've not been the same since. So this does have a little bit more significance to it. This was actually in the presentation tin, in that little it hadn't been touched as far as I can tell. This is the tin where I got it from. All in all, it's still in really good shape. The blades do not rub, which is really good. That's a real sign of attention to detail. Sometimes with these work knives you will have the blades rub a little bit, but on this one, no, not at all. The springs are a little on the soft side, but still adequate. No gaps to speak of, and very slight proud back springs. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that the Delrin on this is considerably a little bit light. It's still brown, but it's a light brown. I think that's a sign that yes, this is one of the newer ones. If you've seen the Taylor brand Schrade old timers, they do use a similar type of coloring, so I think that's worth mentioning. So yes, that is my growing Schrade USA collection. I won't be buying any more knives for the rest of the year. I have to discipline my spending, but you know, can't hurt. These still hold value, and if you have any of them in reasonably good shape, feel free to send me a message. Let's see what we can do. Thanks for looking. Take care.